Thank you for receiving me. Hi. What did you like most about this work? If you have to choose one or two things about Wandavision.
It's been interesting. What's really fun is to see the overlap between people who love musical theater and people who love Marvel. And it's not a surprise because they are both larger than life stylized storytelling. So I think people who love stories that get your heart beating with adventure and character and fabulous costumes love both things.
Yeah, action sequences and songs in a musical are action sequence in superhero shows and songs in musical are kind of the same thing, right? They're both like these set pieces that are heightened moments of storytelling. And we were saying, like, my dad doesn't know really Marvel stuff, but and our kids don't really know these old sitcoms, but the two, like my daughter and my dad, were having a great conversation about WandaVision yesterday. It's a cool thing to see that happening in a weird show like this.
Yeah, the grandparents and grandchildren can connect over WandaVision and they can say like, "Oh yeah, I remember watching I Love Lucy," and it's fun. I grew up in the New York area in the 70s and 80s. And if you were sick, you got to turn on Channel 5 or Channel 11, and it would just do sitcoms all day long. You'd start with I Love Lucy and My Three Sons, and there was a crazy one called Flipper about a dolphin.
Love that one.
And then Mr. Ed, and then as the day got later, you'd go through the decades. Then you'd get into like the 60s with Mary Tyler Moore's show, and by 3 o'clock you were into the 70s with the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and Gilligan's Island. Then you'd stop and have dinner, and then at night you'd watch like an 80s sitcom like Growing Pains or Family Ties. So these hours that you would spend downloading story that your parents were so worried about you just watching TV are actually the thing that leads you to be a storyteller who gets to write theme songs when you grow up.
I think the visuals are incredible, and the way that Matt and Jack, they used lenses from the 50s. They use a sitcom audience, and the laugh track is so weird, and it's so unsettling. I think that's half of it.
I'm going to say, yeah, the attention to visual detail. Just I'm sort of obsessed. We watched it this weekend again, the first two. I'm obsessed with Elizabeth Olsen's hair alone. The attention to detail of how they captured like her wig in the first and second episode. The costumes are it's just a visual feast. But I have great admiration for Kevin Feige and the out-of-the-box storytelling. I really think he's taking storytelling to a new level, and that's a really exciting thing to see.
Be, Beyond the sitcom and the style, which are the differences between this work and a work for a movie like Frozen, for example?
Well, Frozen, if a movie like Frozen or Frozen 2 asks huge amounts from us because we are architects and storytellers as well. So much like an architect, you have to go from the ground up, dealing with like what is the theme, what are our characters, and making sure that the songs are the pillars that hold up the building. In this case, we're more like wallpaper decorators. The building has been built, and we just have to make sure that we are adding something that adds to it instead of takes it away.
Because usually a show has one theme song, and the reason it has a theme song is to unify it and make sure that people know, oh, this is that show. But this WandaVision has, a number of different opening themes. So what we decided was they'll all be different songs, and they'll all be in different styles of the different decades of American television, but that we would put one phrase, the hook of the whole thing, and find a way to put it in each song differently. And so that we picked out 4 notes to put WandaVision to. And it goes, WandaVision. And that's not the only way we set that that word, but it's in every single one. It's at the end of the first song. It's all the way throughout the second song. It's at the end of the third song. It's almost like an Easter egg hidden in each song. You got to pick out where's that theme. And
it's really important that the vision is a tritone, which is, it's different than vision, right? That's like major. Vision is like something's up. Something's weird, which sort of sets the tone for the whole series. I'm going to say number 6. I'm going to say number 6 was the hardest because it was
from an era that we were in college and not watching television, so we weren't as immersed in in American television in that decade because we were too busy, pretending to be adults.
Right, trying to get jobs and make our parents proud. I think that for me, some of the especially the female characters of like I Love Lucy and the Brady girls, they were very. They had an impact on me as like, oh, what is a woman supposed to be? I think that kids today have so much right at their fingertips in their laptops, in their social media. And I think that the media that they're downloading, just watching it in my own children, they're looking at very specific interests that they follow through whatever social media thing that they're interested in. So it might make people more interested in like, oh, what was an American female supposed to be through the decades, and make them think a little bit about that.